I bet you taste like peppermint. You smell like damp pavement. Come through my door and be my fire's replacement. Your lips I often dream of, and I've lost count of the times you've caught me looking at you.
Good morning, stockholders, board of directors, officers, and guests. Welcome to PHINMA Corporation's Annual Stockholders Meeting. We would like to remind everyone that our 2019 annual report and our 2019 information statement are available for download by scanning the QR codes flashed on the screen. You may also download by typing the URLs beneath the QR codes on your mobile devices. We will now begin PHINMA Corporation's Annual Stockholders Meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Mr. Oscar J. Hilado, PHINMA Corporation's Chairman of the Board.
The annual meeting of stockholders will please come to order. Because of the current pandemic, and even while Metro Manila is now under a general community quarantine, which allows limited movement of people, your corporation has decided to proceed with the conduct of this meeting remotely or via live streaming to avoid any risk of safety risk on the part of our stockholders. This is the first stockholders meeting of its kind to be conducted by your corporation in accordance with the rules of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Let me begin by introducing the members of the Board of Directors who are joining us in today's meeting. Mr. Ramon R. Del Rosario Jr., Dr. Magdaleno B. Albarracin Jr., Ambassador Jose L. Cuisia Jr., Mr. Roberto M. Lavinia, Mr. Victor J. Del Rosario, Mr. Eric S. Lustre. And our independent directors, Mr. Guillermo D. Luchanco, Mr. Juan B. Santos, Attorney Lilia B. De Lima, Ms. Rizalina Mantaring. Also joining us today is our Corporate Secretary, Attorney Troy A. Luna. We also acknowledge the presence of Mr. Antonio Lavinia of Stock Transfer Service, Inc. And our auditors, SGV and Company, represented by Mr. Carlitos Cruz, Mr. Wilson Tan, Ms. Vivian Ruiz, Mr. Ramon Dizon, Ms. Belinda Benghui, and Ms. Maricris C. May we know from the Corporate Secretary whether notices of the annual meeting were sent to the stockholders?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Notices with the agenda of this meeting were posted in the website of the corporation. It was published in the Philippine Daily Inquirer and the Philippine Star for 2 consecutive days on June 2 and June 3, 2020, and was disclosed to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Philippine Stock Exchange in accordance with the rules of the SEC.
Mr. Secretary, could you please inform our stockholders of the procedures for attendance, voting on each item of our agenda, and participation in today's meeting?
Mr. Chairman, as stated in the notice of this meeting, stockholders may participate and attend this meeting only by remote communication. Stockholders who have informed the company of their attendance through a dedicated email provided by the company in the said notice on or before June 19, 2020 shall be considered present at this meeting. The following rules of conduct and procedure, which are contained in the explanation of each item of the agenda posted on the website of the corporation and as earlier disclosed, apply to this meeting. Stockholders may cast their votes through a form named ballot/proxy sent together with the information statement, which stockholders may submit on or before June 19, 2020 to the same dedicated email address. All the items in the agenda for approval by the stockholders may be approved only by affirmative vote of the stockholders owning at least majority of the outstanding capital stock present or represented at the meeting, provided that there is a quorum, except the election of directors, which will be based on the number of votes cast by the stockholders present or represented at the meeting for each or more nominees for election as directors, as described in the information statement. The votes received have been tabulated by the company's independent stock transfer agent, the Stock Transfer Service, Inc. Each proposed resolution for approval by the stockholders will be shown on the screen, and the number of affirmative votes received for the approval of such resolution shall be reported by the corporate secretary. Questions from the stockholders have been received through the same dedicated email address. These will be answered during this meeting, subject to appropriateness, relevancy, and time limits. Stockholders may also send questions or comments within 1 week after the meeting. Those are the rules and procedure for attendance and participation at this meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum for this meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Based on the tabulation of attendance, there are present or duly represented at this meeting more than 82.9% of the issued and outstanding capital stock of the corporation, or 225,751,802 shares. There is therefore a quorum for purposes of this meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Legal notices having been given and a quorum being present, we are now ready to proceed with the meeting. The first item on this agenda is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mr. Chairman, copies of the minutes were distributed to the stockholders as Annex D of the information statement. The proposed resolution to dispense with the reading of the minutes and for the approval thereof is shown on the screen. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning a total of 225,751,802 shares, or 100% of the shares present or represented at this meeting, voted in favor of the proposed resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you again, Mr. Secretary. Having received the affirmative votes of stockholders owning at least a majority of the shares present at this meeting, the resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the annual report of management for the year ended December 31, 2019. We shall now hear from our Senior Vice President Finance, Ms. Regina Alvarez, and then our President and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ramon R. Del Rosario, Jr. Ms. Alvarez, please.
Fellow shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am pleased to present to you a brief recap of the audited financial statements of PHINMA Corporation for the year 2019. Consolidated revenue of your company amounted to 11.3 billion, a 14% increase over the previous year due to increased revenues from our core businesses, particularly our education group and our construction materials group. Consolidated costs and expenses increased 10% to 10.3 billion in 2019. Income from operations, on the other hand, increased to 1.1 billion from 576 million in the previous year. Equity and net earnings of affiliates turned around from a loss of 108 million in 2018 to earnings of 44 million as the company divested of its holdings in its energy business. Consolidated EBITDA increased to 1.4 billion from 1.1 billion in the previous year. In terms of contribution per business unit, the Construction Materials Group posted the largest contribution to net income of the parent, followed by the Education Group. In aggregate, net income to equity holders of the parent increased to 233 million from 26 million in 2018. Consolidated net income increased to 437 million from 175 million in the previous year. Allow me to move on to PHINMA Corporation's Statement of Financial Position. Total assets of your company as of year-end 2019 amounted to 22.4 billion. Of these, approximately 9.9 billion are current assets, 3.2 billion of which are cash and short-term investments. Total liabilities, on the other hand, amounted to 14 billion. PHINMA Corporation continues to have a strong balance sheet with current ratio of 1.93:1 and debt-to-equity ratio of 1.68:1. Book value per share as of December 31, 2019 is 24.42. We are also pleased to report that your board has maintained the cash dividend at the current level of 40 centavos per share. This was paid to shareholders last March 27, 2020. Those are the financial highlights for the year 2019. Our President, Mr. Ramon Del Rosario Jr., will now provide more detail on the performance of the various business units. He shall likewise discuss the impact of the current COVID pandemic on operations and how we are restarting our businesses post-quarantine. Thank you.
My fellow shareholders, good morning, and once again, welcome to the first online Annual Shareholders Meeting of PHINMA Corporation. As our Senior Vice President, Ms. Ruby Alvarez, has briefed you on the financial results for 2019, I will be discussing the operational highlights of our strategic business units. While this is the annual shareholders meeting where we discuss our 2019 results, allow me first to provide updates on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on your company. The pandemic has impacted millions around the world, causing deaths and lockdowns, while economic forecasts all point to a global recession. Our hearts and prayers go out to all those affected like everyone else. We hope that the vaccine will be developed very soon. In this time of global crisis, we are all the more committed to our mission of making lives better. Your company's response focused on three key areas: the safety of our people, the continuity of our business, and the well-being of our communities. To take care of our people, management immediately implemented a work-from-home policy for all employees, while providing our employees with the tools and support that they needed to work from home. Skeletal staff such as security and janitorial services were deployed at operational sites. The safety and well-being of our employees is our foremost priority. And with the help of our stakeholders, such as our customers, suppliers, and banks, we have been able to maintain productivity even while on a work-from-home basis. To further provide support to our employees, management advanced salary and a prorated portion of the 13-month pay. Led by the PHINMA Foundation, the PHINMA Group rolled out PHINMA Reaches Out 2020 and deployed over 30 million pesos to support our communities with a focus on those most in need of support. We provided financial assistance to no work, no pay third-party employees that support PHINMA. We provided food assistance and medical supplies to communities where our businesses operate. And we worked with partners like Philippine Business for Social Progress, Caritas Manila, De La Salle University, and Ateneo, among others, to support our health professionals and workers on the front lines, as well as to feed thousands of the most vulnerable families when and where no other assistance was available. During the quarantine period, our businesses did suffer a decline in revenue, especially when Luzon was under enhanced community quarantine. From the beginning, we focused on liquidity management and ensuring our strategic business units had ample cash to see themselves through the crisis, and in fact, to take advantage of opportunities that might arise. Liquidity was reviewed on a daily basis, while stringent financial planning involving the testing and retesting of assumptions happened on a regular basis. In education, classes were able to conclude with final exams largely waived. Graduation will be postponed until such time as we can safely conduct them. In construction materials, we ceased operations on March 15th in North and Central Luzon and in the Visayas and Mindanao by the end of March. Our sites opened in line with the lifting of the enhanced community quarantine in their local areas, while the PhilCement Mariveles terminal got a special permit from the Freeport area of Bataan to unload a pending vessel in mid-April. I am proud to say that PHINMA Properties was able to maintain strong sales efforts during this period, with 271 units reserved from March 15 to May 31, purely through online sales and with virtual walkthroughs. Our 2 hotels in the Mall of Asia area, Microtel and Trip by Wyndham, provided safe, secure lodging to frontliners during this period with robust occupancy rates. I enjoin you all to take this opportunity with me to thank all of our frontliners for their outstanding service. Moving back to our 2019 results, in June 2019, PHINMA Corporation completed the sale of our energy business, allowing the company to focus investments in core businesses, particularly education and construction materials, areas where we feel that we have a strong competitive advantage. In education, PHINMA Education Holdings, Inc. holds your company's investment in 7 tertiary education schools, as we closed our acquisition of Republican College last year. Despite the challenges faced by the private tertiary industry, PHINMA Education once again saw an increase in its freshman enrollment, posting a 24% growth. As of school year 2020, PHINMA Education enrollment has grown to 74,187 students nationwide. In 2019, PHINMA Education graduates again performed well in board accreditation exams, with various schools posting a 100% first-timers passing rate in 40 different licensure exams. Since 2004, PHINMA Education has fielded 98 board exam top-notchers and 24,825 licensed professionals. PHINMA Education continued to expand in Asia. In February 2019, PHINMA Education entered into a joint venture with an Indonesian educational institution to establish PT Indfil Management to manage tertiary schools in Indonesia. The first school under this arrangement is Stikes Karisma in Karawang, West Java, a school known for its nursing and information technology programs. To support its rapid business growth In 2019, PHINMA Education formed a partnership with Kaizenvest, the Netherlands Development Finance Company, or FMO, and the Asian Development Bank, involving the infusion of 1.875 billion pesos in new capital into PHINMA Education to support local acquisitions and expansion as well in international expansion in Indonesia, Vietnam, and Myanmar. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, these funds remain allocated to support acquisitions. Moving forward, PHINMA Education plans to strengthen its presence through these acquisitions, extending its reach in Greater Manila and other strategic areas, such as the Calabarzon region. Globally, PHINMA Education views Indonesia as a key market for affordable education in the region. Our long-term goal is to broaden the geographic reach of our affordable education within Southeast Asia and to become the largest affordable education network in the Philippines. We think that PHINMA Education will continue to be a school of choice for our target market due to our strong academic performance and our track record of improving employability for our students. Our construction materials group continued its rapid growth in 2019. Union Galva-Steel Corporation maintained its industry leadership in a highly competitive market with almost 10 million equivalent sheets sold during the year. Our new cement subsidiary, PhilCement Corporation, continued to reintroduce our legacy Union Cement brand to the market, reviving relationships with key customers and channels. PhilCement was able to complete construction of its cement facility in Mariveles, Bataan early this year, making it fully operational and allowing PhilCement to deliver on its promise to efficiently process and make available our high-quality cement nationwide. This facility has an initial capacity of 2 million tons of cement per year, which allows PhilCement to support the Build program of the government by addressing the local shortage of cement. For 2020, the increased capacity from PhilCement's Mariveles facility will enable further inroads of our Union Cement brand into the market, as PHINMA supports the nation's infrastructure development by ensuring a stable supply of quality cement in the market. The Construction Materials Group also expects to develop more synergies across the three companies, while its strengthened regional partnerships unlock the potential of a larger Asian market for our products and services in the future. The Construction Materials Group is well positioned to support the government's efforts to spur economic growth through infrastructure spending. PHINMA Properties continued strategic changes to its business, which resulted in a strong improvement in its profitability by starting development of pipeline projects both within and outside of Metro Manila to secure future growth and profitability for the company. PHINMA Properties also continued to innovate by launching its first business targeted towards the shared economy, a co-working facility in partnership with Accelerate. This year, PHINMA Properties will continue developing a pipeline of core affordable projects while exploring new business lines such as a shared economy rental model. 2019 marked the second year of operations of our Trip by Wyndham Hotel in the Mall of Asia area. The hotel was able to improve its occupancy rate to 76% and ended the year with a modest profit. Our flagship Microtel Mall of Asia Hotel continued its robust performance, despite significant challenges to its industry from the COVID-19 outbreak. PHINMA Hospitality still looks forward to further expanding the Microtel and Trip brands across the country. Entering 2020, the Philippine economy looked poised to continue its strong growth, backed by the timely approval of a record 4.1 trillion peso budget, where over 2.5 trillion pesos was allocated to infrastructure and social services spending. Combined with benign inflation and local interest rates, the country maintained a positive local business climate. The COVID-19 pandemic has drastically changed that view, and we now expect 2020 to be a significantly challenging year for PHINMA Corporation, similar to most other businesses in the country and across the globe. We are hopeful, however, that our businesses can achieve modest growth in 2021, then eventually return to a more vigorous growth path. We maintain our commitment to our various invaluable stakeholders, including suppliers, partners, creditors, and customers. We would like to express our gratitude to our board of directors for their invaluable guidance and to our management teams and employees who share our mission of making lives better. We also reiterate our commitment to improve values for our shareholders, and we extend our gratitude for your unwavering support. Thank you all, and have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your annual report for the year 2019. May I ask the Corporate Secretary now to inform the stockholders of the questions received from the stockholders? I
Mr.
would also
Chairman.
like to request our President and CEO to answer the questions.
Mr. Chairman, we received questions from 3 of our stockholders. The first is from stockholder Cipriano M. Amando Jr. He said, I have read the Philippine Stock Exchange disclosure on the investment in PHINMA Education Holdings. PHINMA Education has funds of approximately 2 billion pesos. Does PHINMA plan additional investments in the education business?
Thank you, Mr. Armando, for your question. Yes, I am pleased to confirm that we do have plans for further investments in the education business. But let me also take this opportunity to thank our new investors, particularly our international investors, the Asian Development Bank, the Netherlands Development Finance Institution, or FMO, and Kaizenvest, the Kaizen Group. I think it is important to share with our stockholders the importance of these investments that have been made into the education business of PHINMA. This is nothing less than a vote of confidence from a very enlightened and prestigious group of investors. And this vote of confidence comes from their belief that the business model that we have adopted of making high-quality education accessible to the vulnerable segments of our society is a very commendable business model that they would like us to be able to expand not only in the Philippines, but throughout Southeast Asia. That is the meaning of these investments, and I think we have every reason to be very proud of the fact that these investments have taken place. So we do have a very handsome investable fund kitty, and we are looking at expansions both in the Philippines and in Southeast Asia. In the Philippines, as I said in my report, our initial areas of interest are further investments in the National Capital Region, where we're trying to develop a significant network of educational institutions, and also in the Calabarzon area, where we have ongoing discussions. But we continue to be interested as well in other key cities in the Philippines. In Southeast Asia, we have a management contract with an Indonesian educational institution, as discussed earlier, and we intend to grow further this business in Indonesia because we see a very high potential in Indonesia. And we are also very fortunate that we have been able to partner with a very strong Indonesian group, the Triputra Group, headed by Pak Teddy Rahmat, one of the most respected business groups in Indonesia. In addition to Indonesia, we are looking at countries like Vietnam, probably Cambodia and Laos, and we continue to have an interest in Myanmar as well. So in response to the question, yes, we have every intention of continuing to make significant strategic investments in the education business. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, The second question is from stockholder Beatriz M. Balagot. She asks, how was the COVID disruption affected the construction management group's profitability, and what is your short-term and long-term outlook?
Yes, like every other business, both in the Philippines and I think worldwide, the pandemic has affected our businesses, including our construction materials business. As you know, the cement part of our construction materials business is a fairly new business, and we were still in the process of ramping this up, while our steel roofing business is a mature business that has continued through the years. We did have to shut down all of our facilities nationwide, but fortunately, in the case of our Mariveles plant for cement, we have been able to reopen that gradually starting in, I believe, mid-April. And riding on the importance of the build and infrastructure development program of our government, we believe that our construction materials business is well positioned to support this program. We have a nationwide distribution network. We have very efficient logistics support, and we are very well positioned to provide high quality construction materials on a timely basis. So we are very confident that once the economy moves forward and once construction, particularly of these high priority infrastructure projects, get back on track, that we will be a significant participant in these projects, and therefore we should be able to return to a track of growth and profitability, hopefully sooner rather than later. Thank you.
And last but not the least, Mr. Chairman, is a question from stockholder Antonio M. Dumalian. The question is, will PHINMA strategic investments help tide it over the COVID crisis?
Thank you, Mr. Dumalian. Yes, I think our shareholders will share with me the confidence that the businesses that we are in are businesses that are of the highest priority in terms of the needs of the Filipinos. Education is very clear. It is a high priority need for Filipino families. And in particular, the positioning of our education business, where we are particularly interested in providing high quality education to those who need it the most, the D&E economic sectors of our society, whom we consider most vulnerable and most in need of high quality education. And we are located nationwide now, so I think we are well positioned, and we will have to make some significant adjustments. And there are still challenges in education, in particular on the timing of the opening of classes. We continue to tell government very strongly that we feel face-to-face education cannot be replaced, and it cannot be absent for a prolonged period, because it will have a significant impact on the education of our kids. And also it will have a significant impact on the dropout rates if it is too prolonged. Having said that, though, we are geared up to provide some degree of distance learning to adjust to the requirements of government if they should impose such requirements on us. And we are even considering making available, for example, internet connectivity to our students in all of our schools to allow them to access their lessons as part of the tuition. It will not be an additional cost. And we are also making available the instruments that are needed to those who need it at a very reasonable financial cost. So in terms of our education business, we are well positioned. Our construction materials group, as I said earlier, is riding on the firm faith and conviction that our government will be successful in implementing its infrastructure development program. And for as long as that program proceeds as we all hope it will, then we are well positioned to participate in that aggressive program. Our PHINMA Properties business has bounced back very nicely, is well positioned. Again, here we are positioned to address the mid-market and those who need housing very badly, and there is still pent-up demand in that segment of the market. And we are now focusing more on areas outside of Metro Manila, where we think the demand continues to be very great. And there too, we have significant confidence that we will be able to bounce back fairly quickly. Our hospitality business, as we all know, will be challenged because the entire tourism industry in the Philippines and throughout the world will be challenged for the foreseeable future. But we are well positioned again in terms of our locations and in terms of the market that we are catering to. As we said in our report, even during the height of the pandemic, our hotels did reasonably well because we were very quick to address the needs of the BPO sector. Currently, we are offering our hotel facilities to the OFW and the seafarers who are returning to our country. And we will be very quick to respond to opportunities when the tourism and the business markets re-emerge. So on the whole, I would be very pleased to assure our stockholders that our businesses are very well positioned, hopefully to bounce back quickly when the Philippine economy bounces back. Let's all pray that that occurs much more quickly than others may be fearful of. Before I close, Mr. Chairman, let me take this opportunity also to inform our stockholders that while we care very much for our employees and have put their safety as the highest priority, unfortunately, we have lost 2 regular employees in the course of the year. One of them only yesterday, a fellow whom we fondly call Coach Bong Gabales, is now was head of general services in Southwestern University. He gained the title coach because before going to Southwestern University, he was with Cagayan de Oro College and was coach of one of the, I think, basketball teams there. Unfortunately, we lost Coach Bong to COVID yesterday, and we express our condolences to the family and are, of course, extending the fullest support. Earlier in the year, we lost Serge Bacason, one of our veteran accounting supervisors in the FINMA group assigned to TO Insurance. We extend our condolences to them, and we have extended full support to their families. So thank you very much to our stockholders for your continued support. Thank you.
Those are all the questions received, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President, for your annual report for 2019. Can the Corporate Secretary now present the resolution proposed for approval by the stockholders and the votes received for the approval thereof?
Mr. Chairman, the resolution for the approval by the stockholders of the annual report, together with the audited financial statements and the notes thereto of the corporation for the year ended December 31, 2019, is shown on the screen. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning a total of 225,751,802 shares, or 100% of shares present or represented at this meeting, voted in favor of the proposed resolution.
Thank you again, Mr. Secretary. Having received the affirmative votes of stockholders owning at least the majority of the shares present at this meeting, the resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is the ratification and approval of all the acts of the Board of Directors, the committees, and the management since the last annual shareholders meeting. May I request the Corporate Secretary to present the resolution proposed for approval by the stockholders and the votes received for the approval thereof?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution for the approval and ratification by the stockholders of all acts of the Board of Directors, Executive Committee, and other committees of the Board, officers, and management is shown on the screen. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning a total of 225,751,802 shares, or 100% of shares present or represented at this meeting, voted in favor of the proposed resolution.
Thank you very much. Having received the affirmative votes of stockholders owning at least a majority of the shares present at this meeting, the resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is the election of directors for the ensuing year. May I request the Corporate Secretary to inform the stockholders of the nominees for election as directors of the corporation and the votes received by the said nominees?
Mr. Chairman, the Corporate Governance and Related Party Transactions Committee, acting as and with functions of a nominations committee, has pre-screened and shortlisted the nominees qualified to be elected as directors for the ensuing year. There are 11 nominees to fill 11 seats on the board as follows. Number 1, Mr. Oscar J. Hilado. Number 2, Mr. Ramon R. Del Rosario Jr. Number 3, Dr. Magdaleno B. Albarracin Jr. Number 4, Ambassador Jose L. Cuisha Jr. Number 5, Mr. Roberto M. Lavinia. Number 6, Mr. Victor J. Del Rosario. Number 7, Mr. Eric S. Lustre. And as independent directors, number 8, Mr. Guillermo D. Luchanco. Number 9, Mr. Juan B. Santos. Number 10, Attorney Lilia B. De Lima. And number 11, Ms. Rizalina G. Mantarin. Considering that only 11 were nominated to fill 11 seats in the board, and there being no objection to the distribution of the said votes equally among the said nominees, 225,751,802 votes were cast for each nominee, equivalent to 82.9% of the total outstanding shares of the corporation. The said nominees are therefore duly elected as members of the board of directors for the ensuing year and until their successors are duly elected and qualified.
Thank you again, Mr. Secretary. May I congratulate my co-nominees, who are all current members of your board, for their re-election to the board. I also want to thank them for their past service and for giving the company their precious time and talent for another year. We now proceed to the next item on the agenda, the appointment of the corporation's external auditor for the ensuing fiscal year. The audit committee and the board have selected and recommended the appointment of Sisip Gores Velayo and Company as external auditor of the corporation. May I request the corporate secretary to present the resolution for approval and the votes received by the same?
Mr. Chairman, the resolution for the appointment of Sisip Gores Velayo and Company as external auditor of the company is shown on the screen. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning a total of 225,751,802 shares, or 100% of shares present or represented at this meeting, voted in favor of the said proposed resolution.
Having received the affirmative votes of stockholders owning at least majority of the shares present at this meeting, the resolution is approved and SGV is appointed as external auditors of the company for 2020. Before we adjourn, I would like to inform the stockholders that you may still email your questions or comments within 1 week from today. The company will answer all questions relevant to today's meeting and the matters taken up. There being no further business to discuss, I hereby declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you all for your attendance and participation at this meeting. We are also pleased to share with you videos of our business units. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
It must have been really visionary when, in 1956, a group of young, forward-thinking industrialists set the foundation for an enterprise that would pave the way for the rise of multiple industries. It sought to, in the simplest terms, make lives better. That enterprise was PHINMA. Its initial venture involved the purchase of the Cebu Portland Cement Company in 1957, later to be incorporated as Bacnotan Consolidated Industries, Inc. Growing its cement business over time, PHINMA became known as the industry leader for over 4 decades. Now, 2 decades later, PHINMA is ready to return to the cement business anew, bigger and stronger than ever, with a renewed sense of purpose through PHINMA Corporation.
We recognized how we could best answer the need for quality cement. We put all our experience and expertise to work with PhilCement.
PhilCement engages in world-class processing, marketing, and distribution of cement and its complementary products. PhilCement aspires to provide a reliable and consistent supply of cement products of good quality, which are very critical to the country's construction boom. At the forefront of the renewed entry into the cement industry, PHINMA flags its legacy brand, Union Cement. The brand's return enhances the goodwill from PHINMA's historical position of leadership in the cement industry. While it takes pride in its history, Union Cement has been fortified to become a stronger brand, supported by its strategic partner, Viet Cement Terminal JSC, among ASEAN's premier world-class cement manufacturers. Today, PhilCement marks a new milestone in its vision to return as a significant player in the cement industry. Inaugurating its Mariveles cement facility inside the Freeport area of Bataan. This world-class facility currently has a 2 million ton capacity housed in a brand new terminal. World-class quality is clearly evident across the entire operation. From ship unloading, in which bulk cement is received from a vessel and discharged through 2 ship unloader units, to storage, where the cement is transported in a series of conveyors and bucket elevators going to 3 gargantuan silos, and lastly, to cement dispatching. Altogether, the PhilCement Mariveles plant stands on solid ground as a premier world-class facility, one of the largest independent cement terminals in the world, and the first of its kind in the Philippines. And the products of this plant, Union Super Strength 40 and Union Ultra Strength 50, rises head and shoulders above all locally sourced cement brands. In performance, whether it's measured in compressive strength or workability and consistency that exceed both Philippine and global standards. Its strategic location brings us closer to our markets, giving us unparalleled distribution flexibility. This enables us to bring our quality products to our customers with speed and convenience.
was in cement that we found our initial success over 60 years ago. Today and clear into the future, it is in our subsidiary PhilCement and the Union Cement brand with which we foresee even greater successes for the PHINMA Group. Union Cement, a world-class brand made in a world-class facility, now poised to take on the world. Our brand slogan captures it well. Basta Cemento, i-Union Cement mo.
Thank you again for joining the 2020 PHINMA Corporation Annual Shareholders Meeting. For more updates on the PHINMA Group and its business units, follow PHINMA Corporation's official Facebook page through the link flashed on the screen now. As we continue to tide this health crisis, please continue to stay at home, practice good hygiene, and observe physical distancing. Stay safe, everyone.